Hello, my name is Abby Linville, and this is my Module 10 case study response. I'm going to start off by summarizing the case. Recently, the PTA at my school decided to dissolve and break affiliation with the national PTA. The group of parents then created a new independent organization. As principal, I was concerned and unsure of where the change was coming from because I wasn't sure why the parents had decided to break their affiliation with the national PTA. The only concerns that were expressed at first were a lack of parent involvement and a lack of community involvement. In the past, I had tried to involve the parents and give them important roles, as I find their involvement in the school is very valuable. Previously, they had supported with the parent and staff picnic, initiated parent-teacher conferences, as well as helped support a bond referendum. At a recent meeting about planning back to school night, the president of the new parent organization informed me that they had some changes that they would like to make to the current back to school night format, as well as some other concerns that they would like to have addressed. For back to school night, they wanted to extend back to school night to run over the course of several nights, where teachers would be assigned a night that they would do a presentation for parents to come to, and on the other nights during that week, they would have to be available to meet with parents as needed. Going forward, the parents want more involvement in school policy. Although they recognize that the school board sets the policies, they want to have more say on how those policies are implemented in the school. So in order to do that, they created several committees, including committees on curriculum, teacher performance, discipline, and total school evaluation. They're planning to come in to observe the conditions in the school, collect data from students, parents, and teachers, and then they would come and issue policy statements. They would like to work cooperatively with me as the principal and are hoping for my support. When I tried to ask follow-up questions, they did not answer them at the time. They just kept sharing their ideas with me. I value parent involvement, and I want to work with them to ease some of the concerns that they have and see if we can find some common ground going forward. At this time, there has been no harm caused. In the state of Kansas where I live, there are no family engagement laws according to the national PTA. Some of the concerns that I do have to do with the teacher contract. Per the negotiated agreement, teachers are only required to go to 2 evening events a year that run about 3 hours apiece. Any of those evening events need to be approved first through the building principal advisory committee. And I also had some concerns with the data collection that the parents were wanting to take place, because if they're collecting data from students and from teachers, and then that data is then shared openly at a parent organization meeting, I'm just a little worried about the confidentiality that needs to be upheld within the school. So I think when I think about what the goals that the parent group have going forward, I think it all boils down to one thing. I think they would like to have greater influence within the school committee or school community. So here's what we know. I know that they created a plan without my input. I know that they have been meeting and that they're extremely organized. They have set some clear goals that they would like to achieve. Based off their conversations about parent participation and community involvement, I don't think that they have viewed their past involvement as being valued or important. However, I did feel as principal that their involvement was valuable to our school, and it's apparent that they do not agree with that. At this time, I do not know if they have contacted any of the teachers to ask for input on new ideas, and I do not know if they have reached out to community stakeholders. And I am also not sure if they have attempted to reach out to more parents or if they are only working with the select few that are in the parent group. I also do not know the specifics of which policies they would like to look at implementing some changes with going forward. According to research done by the Hanover Research in Connecticut, there is a direct link between family engagement levels and student achievement. So the more you have parental involvement in the school, the better it is for the students. So if we as a school cannot find common ground with this new parent group, we could be risking seeing a drop in student achievement. We also risk gaining a bad reputation in the community, which could affect some of the community partnerships that we already have. And when looking at the demands that they are looking to change for our teachers, especially with back to school night, I feel that teacher satisfaction is at risk, which means that we could potentially lose some of our good teachers. There are also some other factors that I need to consider. I need to think about, how did we get to this point? Where did the communication break down where the parent group did not feel like they could come and approach me about some of these concerns sooner? How can I adjust my actions to make sure that the parents feel involved and know that they are valued and that I am open to communicating? And I also need to find out what my teachers know and what they think about this as well. They're vital to the school community, and I want to make sure that their voices are heard. I also wanted to keep in mind some goals that I have for family engagement as well as I start to evaluate my options. These are what I know need to be accomplished if I want to have a fully functioning school community where all parties are working together to meet the needs of our students. I think it's important to make sure that we are working collaboratively with one another, that we're advocating for the students, that my teaching staff feels supported, and that I'm building connections that are meaningful with all community stakeholders. So here are my options that I have. My first option is that I take no action at all. This option is simple. I just wait for the community or the parent group to make their next move. The consequence of doing this could be that they could go to the superintendent or the board because I did not respond to any of their demands or make an attempt to work with them. They could also just start going forward with their plan and show up at the school and look to start observing and collecting data, and my teachers wouldn't have known anything about it and would be very caught off guard. The next would be that I could refuse to collaborate with this new parent group and meet their demands. The consequence of this is that I would for sure lose any relationship that I currently have with the parent group, and this could directly affect many aspects of our school community. The third is I could ask the superintendent to handle the problem. The consequence of this is it looks like I cannot handle the situation myself, and it looks as if I'm intimidated by the parents. The teachers would also notice this lack of leadership, and I could then lose some of the teacher principal relationships that I have already started as well. The next is I could meet the demands of the group. With this, I risk student and teacher confidentiality. I also run the risk of losing some of my teachers, as some of the demands that the parent group would force me to breach the negotiated agreement contract. So that could cause some teachers to want to leave or cause them to become very unhappy, and they could also file a grievance against me. The next choice would be to create a site council. The site council would be composed of me as the building principal, teachers, community members, and parents. Specifically, I would like to include at least 2 members of the parent group on the site council. The site council would take part in creating and evaluating the effectiveness of our school improvement plan that would focus on student achievement, parent involvement, among many other things. The consequence of this could be that the parents feel like they're playing a larger role in the school community and that their voice is valued and heard. The last choice I have is to ask or suggest that some members of the parent group and community members, as well as teachers and I, attend a family engagement workshop. At the workshop, we would learn about what is effective family engagement. The parents would learn how to look at data, how to advocate for students. Teachers would learn about how to engage parents in their classroom in effective ways. As a principal, I would learn how to train my teachers. I would also learn how to assess the needs of my building, and I would learn how to work effectively with parent groups as well. The consequence of this would be that we all have a clear view on what family engagement is going forward, and we would be able to identify clear roles and expectations for each other. So when I look at my options and evaluate them, I can see that taking no action would at first be no stress for me at first. It's really not any true pros to this one, but the consequences are great. It would show that I have a lack of leadership, and it would appear that I don't value parental involvement, which is not true. I also run the risk of the parent group reaching out to the superintendent or the board. The next would be refusing to collaborate with the new group. The pros, that there would be no changes to what is currently taking place in my school. The cons would be that I would lose all chances of collaboration with the parents, which could have a direct effect on student achievement, and the parent group could start reaching out to the teachers and talking to them about some of their demands without me being able to talk with them first. And the parent group may also stop offering the support that they're currently offering to the teachers as well. The next option is allowing the superintendent to handle it. The pros of this is it would take the pressure off of me. It also would be an outside view on the situation, would be a pro that you could see as well, but the cons are far greater. It would show a lack of leadership. I would lose all credibility with the parent group and teachers, and I have then made him the main contact at my school instead of myself. The next option is to meet the demands of the parent group. This would make the parent group feel involved and successful. They would be open to collaborating going forward, and there would definitely be an increase in parent involvement. The cons are that the teachers were not involved in this process at all. I would be breaking the negotiated agreement, and it also sets a precedence in the future that if you just set demands, I'll meet those demands without any discussion. It makes it look like the parent group is in control of the school. The next option would be the site council. This allows an opportunity to build a bridge between the school and the parent groups. It allows me to ensure that there's a diverse representation on the site council, and it would hopefully lead to an increase in members in the parent group as well. We could focus on school improvement, which seems to be something that the parent group wants a voice in. And the cons are that it may not satisfy the parents group. They might not like this idea. It would also involve some volunteering by teachers unless I can find a way to pay them for their time after their contract hours. And I may have teachers refuse to participate. The next option is the family engagement workshop. The pros of this is it would help us build relationships with one another, and it would also help provide some common language and goals. It would allow us to set some clear expectations going forward and could lead to more change in the long run. The cons are it would take a lot of money and time to get going, and the parent group and teachers could refuse to participate.